Hello, welcome back and welcome to my video about working from home hacks that actually work. Now, I have been inspired to make this video because I've been watching a few working from home tips and hacks videos recently, and I've been finding them a little bit frustrating, a little bit idealistic, and I felt like people like me, who are like a lot of other people out there who have lots of things on their plate as well as trying to work from home, like young children, particularly during lockdown, and other responsibilities, probably will just be driven a bit mad by some of the suggestions in some of these videos. So if you're not the kind of person that gets up at 5 a.m, does an hour of yoga and mindfulness before you start your working day, then this video is for you, because this is about cutting through the chaos and still actually being productive and getting some things done. And I want to share a few technology hacks and technology tips that quite a lot of people get wrong who work from home that I think hold them back, but also just some general experience and insight from several years of working from home that really helped me to get through my day. So if this sounds like it'll be useful to you, then stick around. So point number one, optimize your workspace. So obviously you've got to work with whatever you've got, but I've always found that finding the lightest and the brightest place in my home has really helped me to be the most productive. It's also nice to have somewhere where you can open some windows and get some fresh air in if you need it to help you concentrate. But I've always avoided setting up my desk anywhere too dark in the room because I find it's much harder to stay motivated, particularly in the winter months. But one thing you can do to also improve your workspace, which a lot of people know about, is houseplants. So having a few of these around the place definitely helps you to feel better, but they can also be really of practical use as well. So you can get houseplants that improve the quality of your air. These are becoming quite popular now, and a lot of people know about these. I'll link some down below that can be helpful from that perspective. Also, we've got a couple of carnivorous plants. So we've got the Venus flytrap here, which you might have seen before. This is a slightly more unusual one, but these can basically help with a little bit of pest control in your home. And if you have found a light, bright space to work in, it's probably more likely that you might be plagued by a few flies and things, certainly at some times of year. So they've been really useful for us as well. Other things to think about, of course, are avoid working on your bed if you possibly can. This is impossible for some people, but if you can get yourself a chair. I don't actually have an office chair at the moment. I just sit on one of the kitchen chairs that comes with the kitchen table, but I do put cushions on this if I need to. Sometimes I like to just change positions throughout the day. Just stops you from getting too stiff, especially if I'm sitting for long periods of time. Also, the table that I'm using is our kitchen table at the moment. We are working on creating a dedicated office space, but for the moment this has had to do. So recently I've sanded and I've actually waxed this as well, just to brighten it up, to make it feel nicer. It feels less tired. It feels much nicer to work on. So optimize what you've got. It doesn't mean you've necessarily got to get new things, but just make the very best of what you have. Point number two is super easy, but it's something that so many people don't get right, and it is optimize the technology that you already have. So a lot of people think if they've got poor connection, poor Wi-Fi, they need to go out and buy something new and get a booster and do all of these things. But most people aren't actually optimizing what they've already got, and they could be getting a lot better connection from their existing hardware and technology. So I will show you this just to make it clearer. This is basically the router. So this is our Virgin router. And what a lot of people don't realize is that you've got these connection points in the back here where you can actually hardwire a device into this so that you've got a hardwired connection rather than relying on the Wi-Fi, which obviously sometimes lots of people are competing over, whether or not that's in your house or in your area. But we all know during lockdown that Wi-Fi has been challenging at times. That can be really frustrating if you're in the middle of a Zoom call or a work meeting and your Wi-Fi goes down. I've been to a lot of meetings where people turn their cameras off just to preserve their connection, and because they know that it'll start jumping and it'll start buffering if they leave that on. Obviously the kids get really frustrated if they can't stream properly. So everyone's after the connection at the moment. We're all competing over that, and we all want to know what we can do to maximise that. Now, if you're in a new build situation like we are here, we actually thought about this when we designed the extension. So we've got points in the wall where we can hardwire our computer in. So we can sit here, have meetings to do that. We can stream from here. For me personally, it's quite useful when I upload videos to YouTube because that takes quite a while, much quicker to do it hardwired than on the Wi-Fi. But if you're not in that situation, but you want a temporary solution, perhaps for work meetings and for work calls that make you look and feel more professional, you can actually get a network cable like this, which is what we used to use previously, and you can connect this into the back of your router and then into your laptop or computer, whatever you're using, and you can then get that instant connection and get that hardwired connection. Obviously this then creates a trip hazard, so you want to be a bit careful about that. So make sure you warn anyone around you that you're doing it, tape it, run it in such a way where it doesn't trip anyone up, especially if you're looking at running it up the stairs. But that does give you a temporary solution that's really, really handy to get much better connection. So let's get some data just to explain this a bit more clearly. I'm just got my laptop here and I'm going to run a speed test on the Wi-Fi first of all, and then using the hardwired connection. So I just need to go on to QuickTime and I can do a screen recording. And then if you basically just Google speed test, then that will allow you to run one. So click on that. And that's going to give us two figures. So it gives you your download speed and your upload speed. So imagine you're doing something like a Zoom conference and you're going to be uploading and downloading simultaneously when you do something like that. So it's just settling now to give us those two speeds. So we've got a 71.2 megabits per second download speed, and we've got a 20.0 megabits per second upload speed, and that's using the Wi-Fi. So now let's check out the hardwired. So I've got an Ethernet cable here, and I'm now going to plug this into my laptop, and we can do the same experiment again. Okay, and turn the Wi-Fi off, of course. Right, now let's run that speed test. Okay, so that's quite dramatically different in terms of the download speed. We're on 212.5 megabits per second, which is more than double in terms of a download speed. And the upload speed is about 20.9, so not so different on that. Interestingly, when it gave me the analysis from the Wi-Fi speed test, it said that we have what qualifies as an excellent connection, which of course and speed, which they're of course going to tell you. But it's interesting how much more you can actually get from that Ethernet connection. So if you've got people in your house who like downloading lots of things, streaming lots of things, this is definitely worth considering. Another point to note on this is that when people have poor Wi-Fi connection, they often think it's their internet service provider's fault, and you hear people cursing about their internet service providers. But actually, it's usually the house itself, or the flat or the location itself. So, for example, in our new extension, we've got this insulation that does a brilliant job at insulating your home, but it also cuts that Wi-Fi signal really effectively. So if your signal is trying to travel through perhaps a couple of walls or a couple of floors or to the end of the garden, the actual problem will be that rather than it being the internet service provider's fault. It's also important to note that when you've logged off from work at the end of the day and you want to spend some more time on a screen, which seems to be what we do these days, it's really useful to be able to use this elsewhere as well on things like TVs, because we've got smart TVs now, so you can actually hardwire those and get a much better download speed. You don't have to watch that spinning wheel all the time, it'll just instantly download. So actually this could change your life. So point number 3 is optimise your productive time. So when time is limited, and certainly productive time is limited, you need to work out when you're most likely to get things done and try and move everything you can and arrange everything you can to make sure you don't get disturbed during this time. So for me personally, in lockdown, this really came into use, and I found that between the hours of 6 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock in the morning were my most productive hours. So I made sure I got up early just before that time. I got the kids ready whatever they needed. I knew that they'd be happy for a couple of hours watching TV and having breakfast once they got up. So I knew I could be relatively undisturbed to get a fairly decent amount of work done during that time. And then I had the morning to do other things that I needed to do, like homeschooling and organising the house. And then I could pick up again in the afternoon with some more work. Now, obviously not the same formula is going to work for everyone. You may be more productive in the evening. You may be more productive in the afternoon. You may find that you have a couple of hours in the morning and afternoon. But whatever it is, if you've got to get stuff done, just try and identify that time when you've got the maximum chance of doing your best work. And speak to the people around you, speak to your partner, speak to anyone that you can, including your kids themselves. And I actually explained to my children that they needed to just leave me at that time in the morning and disturb me as little as possible so that I did have the chance of getting that done. Of course, when my children were younger, it would have been a completely different routine, and I might have had to do more work in the evening and mix things up a bit. But that is just definitely a key piece of advice that has made a huge amount of difference to the way that I work and my life. Number 4 is find an easy way to have short breaks where you can get away from your desk, move around and just switch off for a couple of minutes. Now my favourite at the moment is actually, don't tell my children because while they're at school I've been using their swing ball, but it's the perfect way to get a bit of frustration out, get some fresh air and just get moving for a couple of minutes just to refresh your brain before you come back to your desk. But for you it might be a walk around the block, it might even just be a walk up and down the stairs, it might be some exercises on the spot. There's loads of great short exercise videos on YouTube now, or it might be walking your dog, stroking your cat, whatever it might be. Let me know what works for you. Put your comments down below and share. And my 5th and final point is something that's surprisingly made quite a big difference to me recently, is positive affirmations. Because I think when you're working by yourself, it's easily to go down a rabbit hole of negative thoughts and feel really demotivated and not want to carry on. So if you've got things around you, people around you that can pick you back up and make you feel positive. For example, a friend recently gave me this and it sits on the windowsill in my kitchen, and every time I look at it, it just cheers me up and makes me feel more positive and reaffirms that I can do it, and even if I'm having not such a great day, I know that overall I'm heading in the right direction. Of course, equally, as well as having something like that in your life, you want to do that to other people as much as you can. So if you can send people a little thank you card if you're thinking of them, or tell someone else that they're amazing, then that will help them with their day as well, and you will be helping to spread the joy and the love. So I really hope that you've found these tips useful. Please do feel free to share your own. I just wanted them to be as realistic and accessible as possible, and hopefully just share a bit of the experience that I've had over the years that have really, really helped me to stay sane when working from home. Thank you, as always, very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and come back soon. And if you like this video, do please give it a thumbs up and hit that bell notification button so you're always told when there's a new video. But bye-bye for now.